You know, these whistleblowers, right? That the executive branch started on? Yes. Of the independent agencies of the United States. You know, I really looked into them about a year ago. Yes. I was a renter. Yes. At a house where I was going to do some work in exchange for a place to live, and I was burglarized. I don't know if you did see those videos or not, but I thought for sure of the 63 to 64 independent agencies of the United States that had been started over the approximate, actually 200 years. Yes. Each and every one of them are executive branch employees because what originated was the independent agencies through the various presidential administrations of the United States. Now, let's say I went through all the independent agencies, the SEC. Yeah. Now, I can get you a list of them here in just a few minutes, but I'll need the last 40 years of employees that did say that they would blow the whistle on fraud, waste, and abuse if they had any knowledge of it. Now, Valerie, yes, I'm suing FINRA for $150 billion because you corrupt individuals have upset me. And for those, Mary Shapiro in the SEC, yes, you are obligated to blow the whistle, yes, on any fraud, waste, or abuse. Now, I did graduate from college. It was a college at that time, Joseph Castleberry. Yes. Why don't you get me all those private schools throughout the United States that it does say as mandatory reporters if you have knowledge of abuse, child abuse, yes, or neglect, poop. If you do know of any crime involving forgery, yes, fraud, or felony, yes, you can be sued for the actual value of the private institutions. Now, these controlling agents, the observations and the miscellaneouses, just get me all the confidential informants that when they inform, yes, law enforcement of a crime, yes, there is some obligation to arrest the individual that the informant informs on. Now, criminal activity, it's kind of, well, a concern of mine, yes, that for every dismissal for mental incompetence, you are disqualified from being a confidential informant. Yes. And I thought for sure that when I wasn't in Sequim, Washington, and you refused to admit the evidence, yes, you would have dismissed the case for competence instead of incompetence. But now I'm thinking, well, you got all these informants on the payroll. Yes. And some of them are dogs, aren't they? In fact, you payrolled all of them so that it was confidential the amount of money they were receiving. See, you have a whole slew of narcs. Yes. That you call the family, that you put on the payroll, ooch, that you call confidential informants. But really, they're just your offspring. You're manufactured right now. And come to find out, these criminal associates that they have, yes, they don't know that they're receiving an immense amount of money, yes, to narc on them whenever you say as a police department. Now, if you wanted to keep confidential your payroll, ooh, of all of those that you manufactured, yes, you'd call them a CI, pooch, because the I that they see with, pooch, is the come to find out family. Why don't you get me all those? Now, name of confidential informant, yes, confidential informant number, and the actual family. Now, did you, as police or sheriffs, have any illegitimate children that you intentionally arrested? Yes. So that you could put them on the payroll and you could pay them to be narcs. Yes. And then your controlling agent name, signature, and date. Yeah. And then a supervisor's name, signature, and date. Ooh. Just get me all the signatures of those in the police departments. Yes. That don't feel that they have any liability for refusing to obligate the enforcement of the laws. Now, do you understand as a confidential informant, you have the right to remain silent? Yes. You have the right to speak with legal counsel at any time. You have the right to cease working as a confidential informant. If you choose to seek legal counsel at any time, this will not invalidate this agreement. Yes or no? Do you understand that there's an inherent risk associated with acting as a confidential employment, which could include death or injury? Now, when I think of these assaults that I've experienced, yes, I have received considerable amounts of injury. Well, do you understand? Yes, that when I inform you of crime, Sheriff, yes, there is the inherent risk associated, yes, when acting as an informant, a whistleblower, a victim, and that you have intentionally caused an immense amount of injury to myself and my family. Fourth degree assault for false police reports. Fourth degree assault for false criminal complaints. Fourth degree assault for the false allegation of trying to contact the petitioner through the third party Healthy Families of Clallam County. Then there's the third degree assault of arresting me. Yes, when you did know I wasn't in Squim. When you served me at the same time as arresting me. Oh, oh, oh. And then when you arrested me and transported me across county lines. Second degree assault, felony intent. When you wanted to conceal all of your crimes, Squim Police Department. Oh, Brennan School District. See, when I inform you that my sons were taken from me, yes, without any actual due process, because I did not get any notice of court hearings, yes, in 2012. Oh, I didn't receive a dissolution of marriage in 2013. And our marriage certificate was issued from the United Nations. That would be a felony assault, kidnapping, poop. And the intent of each of the arrests was to continue to hold my sons hostage. So you could abuse them and neglect them because they're in the wrong grades. For all the civil rights coordinators that don't think that there's some inherent risk in doing this, you could be injured when you go to jail or prison. See, I spent 27 days. It's very, very injurious to those that are civil rights coordinators. A lot of the individuals that you spend time in prison with, they are not the friendliest individuals. Sometimes they get upset at police officers that refuse to enforce the laws, and sometimes sheriffs experience a certain amount of pain and suffering while in prison. I know the number of times that, let me out. Now, do you understand that the controlling agent with whom you are working with will notify you of any known information about crimes of violence committed by the targets of the investigation? Are there any police officers in the Squim Police Department? Yes. That you should inform me of any crimes of violence of the individual officers themselves. Now, I know you're in law enforcement. Yes. You wouldn't think of yourselves as violent, but there's a possibility, yes, that you have intentionally been putting the handcuffs on too tight. There's a possibility of you fraudulently arresting individuals knowing they weren't in those cities. There is the possibility that I'm not the only person that has experienced this violent. Yes. Now, do you understand that as a confidential employee, that you're not an employee of the agency named below, nor are you entitled to workers' compensation or unemployment benefits from the state of North Dakota, yes, and will not hold the state liable for any injuries or damage incurred by reason of your association with the agency named below. Yes. Now I have a lot of injuries. I'm taking amoxicillin right now because of various infections. Yes. I have a lot of broken teeth in my mouth. Yes. I've been electrocuted numerous times. Right. I had to live in a homeless shelter for 6 years. I haven't been able to get the rent paid. Yes, and it seems to me right now that of all the injuries I've suffered, most of them have been caused because of those in law enforcement refusing to acknowledge the actual laws of the United States. Now, when you get to prison there, teacher, principal, and superintendent, I want you to remember that whom you have a cell with, yes, is not of your choosing, because I will imprison you in each and every state of the Union.